Hey everybody, One Spittin' here with another Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report. Playing my Beastman again, and I'm playing another Dark Elf player. A lot of people around here play Dark Elves. So I thought I'd start with this opening picture. I finally converted one of my ugly undone chariots and was able to finish it. With this army, I love those old Minotaur models, but they're just so small compared to the new Minotaurs that it doesn't make sense to put them with the Unity Minotaurs. So I decided to use them as either tusk gores or razor gores, depending on my need, and just let them pull chariots. And I figure that's just a duty that Minotaurs have to perform until they're big enough to join a Minotaur unit. So this is my tusk gore chariot, and this is a work in progress, but I really think I'm going to use my Hydra uh, as if it's being tamed by a Beastman and use that for whatever I want it for. For this game, it's being used as a razor gore chariot. Obviously, it's unpainted. I really just kind of do some dry brushing to pick out details, and then I go paint them. But open to feedback on that. But that's kind of what I'm thinking about with that model. So anyway, this guy's playing a new list. He has a beautiful model, that big dragon in back, and so he built a list around this Lord Under Dragon. We rolled battle for the pass. He's got from right to left a big unit of blackguard, crossbows, and there's a spellcaster in there. Lord on Dragon behind him, frenzied corsairs. The blackguard, by the way, are armor-piercing banner. So the corsairs have the banner of frenzy. There's more crossbows. He's got 9 Coldwind Knights and a master who's the battle standard bearer in with them, and then he's got his Hydra. He also, in one of those other units, has another spellcaster. He has 2 level 2 spellcasters, and I just don't remember what lore they took. So this is obviously looking down my line. I've got a Tuskgore chariot. I've got my horde of Bestigores. There's 35 of them in there, and they are joined by my Gore Bull BSB. And this is kind of a funny part of the games. I had been told and understood that if a Gore Bull joins a unit, he gives them frenzy, and if he leaves them, they retain their frenzy. And so you'll notice the first part of the game, I'm bouncing this guy around. And by the time we got into combat, somebody questioned that rule, and we looked it up and decided that I was wrong, that once he leaves the unit, they do not retain their frenzy. So, yeah, I don't think I'll be taking a Gore Bull. I don't know, whatever. But right now, that's what I'm doing there. Next to them, there's a unit of 26 Gore. I've got my Beast Lord General. He's base 4 attacks, but he might have an extra hand weapon. But basically, he's got a 1-up rerollable armor save, and every time he makes an armor save, he gets an extra attack. So he's pretty killy. I've got another Tuskgore chariot, another Gore unit. This one has my Great Brave Shaman. He's level 4, Lore of Death. I kind of like it because I don't have anything ranged, but I do have him, and within about 24 inches of the opponent, he can start sniping characters. And so it gives me some kind of range. Love the Herdstone. Have a couple level 1 Brave Shamans, both with the Lore of Beasts. I've got Minotaurs with just a champion musician, and I've got my Razor Gore chariot. So I don't love how I deployed, but that's what I did. So it's my turn 1. Obviously, I move up as far as I can. The Gores on the right were limited by that building. They couldn't march into it, and they had to stop an inch away from it. So the building really just kind of hampers movement. And it's bad enough. That river in this scenario is just awful because at some point you can't march through it, and it just really slows you down. And this river is a boiling flood, and so if you get stuck in it, every model's taking a strength 4 hit or something. So it's just kind of nasty all the way around. So you can see my Gore Bull jump from the Bestigores to this unit of Gores. The red tokens denote frenzy. By the time we get into combat, you'll notice I take those red things off. A yellow token means they got the +1 strength and toughness. So we got the death spell, I believe it was number 2, the Caress, on his master BSB, and so only did 1 wound on him, so he's sitting there on 1 wound. Go to Dark Elf turn 1. You see he didn't really move much. He brought his general to the far right, moved up just a little bit. If I were him, I think I would have moved up to make it so that when I got in combat, I'd be stuck in that river, because it would make sure that I was never steadfast and would be killing my models. But I think he probably wasn't really thinking about it. Besides, I'm not sure we knew yet that the river was like that. Anyway, whatever. After shooting, he kills a couple Gores. We go to my Beastman turn 2. So the Gore Bull jumps from the one Gore unit to the other Gore unit, who has now entered the building, as has my um, Great Brave Shaman. So that unit is now legitimately frenzied, sitting in a house. And it's the only way I could move him forward, really, the way I had deployed. But basically, you can see how the battle lines are drawn up there. Yeah, there's another view. I love that Herdstone. I love what it does for a magic phase. Really not sure what to do with that general. I really like this army list, but it doesn't have the flexibility that my Peg Knights gave me with my Bretonnian army. And here I'm feeling it just a little bit. So we go to Dark Elf turn 2. His Cold One Knights move forward. I'm pretty sure they tried to charge and failed it. His Hydra, he just moves over way to the side. Otherwise, you can see what he did there. Yeah, so the dragon breathes on my guys, kills 6 of them, and now on my turn, in order to charge anything, I've got to take a leadership test at -3 or something like that. So this unit is really hurting, except that I have my general with him. Now, in addition to all the other nastiness he has the Crown of Command. So I don't have to worry about ranks and stuff like that, and he can generate a lot of active combat res. There's another. That model's going to be beautiful when it's painted. So go to Beastman turn 3. So I took the Gore unit with my general, and I just bypassed his general and charged that unit of Corsairs instead. Charged the Minotaurs into the flank of this guy, and for both of those, I needed a pretty decent roll and got them both. I was very happy about that. And the token on the Minotaurs means that I got the +1 strength and toughness test on them. And learned a valuable lesson that there's no reason to keep my level 1s so close together, because there's some miscast results that you put a template on top of your guy. And so both of mine had to take a wound because I had them so close together. So this is what happened on this side of the table after combat. I forgot to take pictures on the other side of the table before combat. I'll get to that in just a second. But basically over here, the best of Gores made it into the Blackguard. I think I needed like a 10, and I got it. And they beat him pretty well, but the Blackguard, of course, are stubborn, and they failed their stubborn 9. Now the Battle Standard Bearer is nowhere around, so they ran. I caught them and was able to overrun into the crossbows. So very, very, very fortunate there. I don't think I was fortunate in beating the Blackguard, but I was fortunate that I broke them and then ran them down. The Corsair unit, he chopped up my guys, but I was stubborn, so we stuck around. The Minotaurs, being toughness 5 and strength 6, put 5 wounds on the dragon and broke him in combat. Now on his turn, he's easily going to rally, but that was nicely done. And you'll notice I only lost 4 wounds in the process, so I felt pretty lucky there. That toughness buff was just hugely important. Now on this side of the table, I had charged my Gore unit into his Cold One Knights, and he ran. And so they failed that charge. And I took my Razor Gore Chariot into the Hydra just to see how it would do. I really didn't think I had the odds there. But yeah, I hit him and then bounced off, and he slapped me around, and that was that. So he didn't break me in combat. He just flat stomped on me. So go to Dark Elf turn 4. And you can see the Hydra on the left-hand side charges the flank of my Gore unit. The crossbows at the top charge into the flank of my Minotaurs, and that's a little scary. I mean, I am toughness 5, and will have, I guess, 5 wounds going back. I've got extra hand. They're modeled with great weapons, but they have extra hand weapon, and they're frenzied now. So I've got 5 attacks going back, so I might be okay, but other than that, I have no static combat res there. His general rallied, of course. This one I'm not really worried about. I think he's going to kill a bunch of stuff, but I think we'll be okay. This one again has me worried. And there's the rest of the lineup up there. So yeah, they eventually rallied at the table edge. His Hydra came in. That's right. His Cold One Knights fled on my turn. On his turn, they rallied. The Hydra killed a few of my guys, but I was able to stick around, of course, and then I reformed. I could bring my Gore Bull into the fight, and just otherwise turn. And if you look at the top, the crossbow beat my Minotaurs did very, very few wounds. If any, they might have done one. It was just awful. And he did several wounds on my Minotaurs. It was absolutely just crazy. Beat him and ran him down. So that was sad. The Corsairs in this gore unit with my general are just chopping each other to bits. we're both sticking around. He's stubborn, and I'm stubborn, and we're both killy. And yeah. The Bestigors, I beat his unit of crossbows with one of his spellcasters. Break him, but I decided not to pursue, because one, I may not have caught him anyway, and two, I wanted to be able to charge his dragon on my turn. Because remember, this was his turn. So that's what happened there. So we go to Beastman turn 5. If you look at the very top, the chariot, I forgot to do anything with, so it's just standing there. The Bestigors charge his dragon, and everybody else is just locked in combat where they were. I have no characters in there, just a champion, and I don't have to accept a challenge, so we're going to get a bunch of hits on him. And when all's said and done, he killed a bunch of my guys, a bunch of them. But I was able to put the last wound to the dragon, was not able to wound the Lord. But we're sitting there, and now I think I might be able to just to combat res him. And my general's unit and those Corsair units are just still hacking at each other. So over here during the magic phase, was able to get the +1 strength and toughness buff, and that makes this unit awesome. And it certainly doesn't hurt for the Gore Bull. And so we did 4 wounds on the Hydra, and we moved to Dark Elf turn 5. Now if you look at that token in the middle of the table, that's a Lore of Death spell went off. Every enemy unit within 24 inches of my Great Brave Shaman, which is fighting the Hydra, but it still affects 24 inches, I think affects most all combats, is -1 strength, -1 toughness. So that Hydra's really not looking good now, and it doesn't help the Corsairs either. So in his turn, his Cold One Knights charged to the flank of my Gore unit with my Gore Bull fighting the Hydra and failed the charge. Very unfortunate for them. The Bestigor unit was able to break and run down his general just through combat res. I don't think... No, I didn't kill him. I may have put... I don't know if I did a wound or not, but anyway, I broke him and ran him down on his turn. And the Gore unit with my general, look at the kind of middle, is... I think I'm down to 1 or 2 Gore remaining, and then my general. I think just 1 Gore and my general. They're just chopping away. It's pretty funny. Yeah, there's another look at the table at the end of Dark Elf 5. So we go to Beastman turn 6. So top right, the Bestigor unit could barely see those crossbows, but they could see them nevertheless, and so they charged him in the flank. The Gore unit killed the Hydra on my turn, or on his turn, and so they reformed to face his Cold One Knights, and on my turn they charged him and got the charge into the Cold One Knights. There's that. They're frenzied because the Gore Bull is with them. And yeah, there's that. There's those guys still there. And yeah, that's just another look at the board. This I lost one of my mages because he miscast putting a +1 strength and toughness souped up version on those Gores, but they needed it, and it helped. These guys, Bestigors, easily, they didn't kill many of these crossbows, but they beat them in combat, did not run them down. And so at the end of the turn, it looked like that. We went to Dark Elf turn 6 after this and killed the Cold Knights. The Gore unit that was with my general, they all died, but my general survived and killed the rest of those Corsairs, I'm pretty sure. And other than that, I'm pretty sure the crossbows rallied, and at the end of the game, he had his crossbows. He had one of his other crossbow unit with a level 2 spellcaster with him. And in all honesty, I don't remember what happened to the other spellcaster. I don't know. I think somewhere along the line she died. So that was it. I mean, this is what I'm finding with my Beastman army almost every game. It is standing toe-to-toe with people, and if I can get those buffs on them, I win, and if I don't get the buffs, I lose. But I'm passing a lot of Primal Fury tests, and these guys are just awesome standing toe-to-toe. So not brilliantly played on my part by any means, but the Beastmen with their Primal Fury and those Herdstone buffs, I think saved the day for them. So that was it. Victory to the Beastmen. Hope you enjoyed it.